Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I am taking a look at the 2025 BMW M5 G90. You can tell I'm very excited because I've been waiting for this car for so long and it's finally in Lebanon. This car got a lot of hate because of its weight, but today we're going to check out its interior and exterior features only because there's a lot of things to show you. Let me show you what it's all about. So let's start off with the key fob that BMW is now implementing in all its new vehicles. The M cars get this blacked out look with obviously the M colors. It gets a lot of fingerprints, but who cares? It feels very premium in your hands. You're obviously locking and unlocking the vehicle on the side with an automatic tailgate function. Now listen guys, I wasn't a huge fan of this car when it first came out. I thought the design was, a bit too bubbly, a bit too big, and it didn't really live up to the F90 M5, which I believe is one of the most beautiful BMWs ever made. But looking at this thing now, God, it looks really nice. We have the quad exhaust tips down at the bottom with this matte paint and those slim LED lighting elements. M5, we obviously will get an M5 competition and hopefully a CS version. Carbon fiber lip on the roof and on the side mirrors. And you can see we have flush door handles, which gives it a more aerodynamic look. Now I'm going to say something that only true F1 enthusiasts will understand what I mean. If you option this car in a brighter color, because that side skirt low to the ground, it gives it like a ground effect look that we saw first on these old Lotus F1 vehicles of the 70s. Now hear me out for a second. Downsizing and hybridization is probably the worst thing that could happen to the automotive world. We hate these small engines. We want big, rumbly, enjoyable sounds because this is why we buy a sports car. The M5 has a hybrid powertrain. When I drove the McLaren Artura, remember I told you that it feels nice when you want to wake up in the morning and not really have to bother everybody with a loud V6 at the time and V8 in this case. So you just put it in electric mode and you drive off, and then when you want to get a bit of power and extra kick and sound, you can basically turn on that V8. So I've just flipped the car for you guys to have a proper look at the front end, especially in the shade. You can see we have a huge grille now at the front, which is eliminated on the new M5. Basically, we don't have the typical kidney grille. Now we have radars obviously and sensors at the front, and down at the bottom, this split look that we saw on the new X3 as well. So a lot of BMWs are going for that design styling, side curtains and a lot of air vents at the front to feed that massive V8 sitting at the front. One thing to point out, if you take a closer look at the headlight design, if I unlock the car for a second, there we go, they're going to light up with a nice little light show. BMW is first of all using these no longer angel headlights, but these kind of snake designs, and we have blue accents inside, as you can see, and it kind of gives off E60. Let me know, we had those extended headlights design styling that they brought back on the new G90 with this design accent over here. I would personally go for a brighter color. The yellow on this thing, especially in touring form, so juicy. I have to say that BMW interiors have skyrocketed in terms of layout, quality, and overall choice of materials. So this is what it feels like sitting behind the wheel of the new BMW M5. You can see the very nice layout inside here. I have to show you first of all, when you turn on the car, listen to that bassy sound. It makes it so dramatic. We have huge paddle shifters behind the wheel, red accents, M1 and M2 buttons. Obviously, these are preset buttons for your driving modes. And turning that steering wheel, it feels very light in your hand and it's pretty thick, honestly. Now, I wasn't too sure of the steering wheel design before, but now seeing it in person, it's pretty cool with the flat bottom. Architectural design structure over here on the third spoke, looks pretty cool with the M logo. Paddle shifters have red accents behind them. iDrive has improved so much over the years. You guys know I drive a BMW 3 Series and E90, and seeing this iDrive system with the curved display, BMW have done such a good job with this new iDrive. It is one of the best. Now, obviously, if you haven't been in a new BMW recently, you'll feel that this interior is pretty new and unfamiliar, but the layout is still the same. So everything is still where it's supposed to be, but upgraded. So for example, we had climate control settings. So we still have them on this new generation, but now they're touch sensitive and you don't have much functionality through this. We only have these M colors. And if you want to go to the climate control settings, you obviously have the shortcut buttons over here, which function very quickly, especially with the heated seats. But you can go over here to your climate control system and then you can have everything displayed over here. So very high, very low. And as you can tell from the interior, the ear vents are actually hidden and they're not really present. You can control them via these controls over here, these small toggle thingies. You even have them over here on the left side, but the air vent is over here. In the center, it is over here, so under this ambient lighting, and over there you can kind of see it for the passenger. Now the center console area should be fairly familiar. We have a start-stop button in red over here, and the drive mode selector go into drive, neutral, and reverse. Very easy to use, and we don't have a park switch, as you can see. So basically turning on the parking brake will put this car in park. Other switches that you get specific on the M vehicles, so traction control, setup, M hybrid, and M mode. What does each button show you? If we go to setup, this is where you will change everything from this car, and this is where things get exciting, I would say, in a BMW M. So Sport Plus, stuff, chassis, steering, brake, everything. Even you can put it in two-wheel drive, obviously, in your M5. So yeah, all the controls using the setup, and you can configure the M1 and M2 buttons in the setup. Okay, so that is done. If you go to M Hybrid, now what this basically does is have it either in full EV mode or hybrid system, or in full V8 plus hybrid system, which puts out the maximum power in this thing. And going into M mode basically changes the display. People think that the M mode has a lot of stuff displayed, but I mean, you basically put it in sport. You can see the display for the driver has changed substantially. And if you press on track, this will basically turn off your center screen. And fun fact, you can change that display from these buttons over here. So BMW are using now, again, a minimalist approach on the steering wheel. You basically have a few buttons for the multimedia and this toggle switch thingy, which I'm not a big fan of. I prefer buttons. I genuinely believe that buttons will never go out of date. I mean, replacing it with these toggle switch thingies is cool, but I mean, having a button makes life so much easier and makes it more responsive, I would say. You can change your drivetrain display, maybe setups as we saw earlier, and then the map. So there we go. Now the map is fully displayed when you go onto the normal driving mode. And if you don't want your map, you can still do the same thing that we were doing earlier by pressing these buttons, the toggle switches. So scroll up or down. And you can obviously get the reduced version if you're more into the minimalist approach. Let me know what you think of this iDrive system. Because we're expected to see a new wraparound display on the new 3 Series, which I believe would be the first car to come out of this new generation BMWs. And it will have a different shape for the display in the center and the 4-spoke design steering wheel that we saw. So I mean, yeah, BMW interiors will change eventually. And can we take a second to really appreciate that interior? I mean, those seats, oh my God, they look so nice with the two-tone. Obviously, M5 illuminated over there. They're chunky, they hug you in well, and I mean, it feels so nice sitting inside here. Now, if I were to nitpick, there's a bit of scratchy plastics down at the bottom and even over here for the window commands, which I think should be, you know, maybe metal, like what Mercedes is doing. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing to see plastic over here. This chunky piece is a bit cheap, and even, you know, plastic over here. This is where you spend most of your time putting your hand. So I feel like it would have been nice having a better quality on the door. And speaking of the seats, you can see how chunky they look even from the back. Small attention to detail, we have an M logo over here. If you pull this down, we have a USB port and a little cubby space, which I think should fit maybe 3 pieces of gum. That's it. I don't know why it's there. So guys, this is going to be my coverage on the new BMW M5 G90. I hope I get the chance to drive it very soon. Until now, let me know what you think of it. I want to see, really impressed.